Hey everybody, it's GauntletX, and welcome back to some more Magic Green, and today we're going to be playing another Murders at Karlov Manor Premier Draft with an Alchemy card in each pack. So without further ado, let's get into our Pack 1 Pick 1, and honestly, one of the sweetest cards in this pack is the Alchemy card. Is it Polarizer? 2 mana for a 2-1, but when it dies, you get to conjure an Ionize or an Electrolyze into your hand, so it's a pretty great value play, trading off, drawing you a pretty sweet card when it dies, but does tie us into 2 colors right off the bat, and it's not like a super, I don't know, explosive card or anything like that. So I think I'd rather just take a mono-colored, just the strongest mono-colored card in the pack in general. And there's just excellent removal with Makeshift Binding, so I'm going to roll with that over the Polarizer, but I think that'd be a pretty fine option as well. I don't think you should really take anything else out of this pack, though, this early. For pick number 2, we've got nothing. This pack sucks. There's some decent blue cards, I guess, with Crime Stopper Sprite and Cold Case Cracker. Kaboomist is, I don't know, it's just too low toughness, I think, to be super sweet, but it can get random damage in. Yeah, I mean, we could just take Sanitation Automaton, because I do end up running it a lot, just to fill out the 2-drop slot, and it can end up in our deck no matter what colors we go. Or one of these blue cards might be strong enough to push towards blue over the Automaton this early, but yeah, I don't really like this pack too much. I'll go for the Cold Case Cracker. I'll take the 2-for-1 Flying Detective. For pick 3, well, we've got a Makeshift Binding for an excellent white card, and now we can take Neighborhood Guardian for a really powerful one for any aggressive white deck. Just buffing up that board, getting extra damage in. This pack is the polar opposite of our second pack. This pack is insanely good. Gleaming Gear Drake's incredible for going for the blue-red Investigate Value Town deck, and Buried in the Garden's great in any green-white deck. We just played 2 green-white decks in a row, so I don't really want to take Buried in the Garden for that reason. So I think I'd just rather take Neighborhood Guardian over Gear Drake here. That is the main cards really competing, but if I didn't really care what colors I ended up in, then Buried in the Garden's definitely in the top 3 here as well, but I'll take Neighborhood Guardian. Absolutely love this card. Pick number 4, there isn't much for us. The Tracker, the Phantom are pretty filler. I actually do like Reasonable Doubts in blue-white. I think it's fine in blue-white Detectives. And none of these off-color cards are really worth pushing into their colors. The best would probably be Panther, just for being the most flexible with that land cycling. But I'll just take a Reasonable Doubt. Maybe we get to go back to my roots in this format, play some more blue-white Detectives. Pick number 5. Pretty weak pack overall. There's a reasonable green removal spell, a reasonable red combat trick, a reasonable doubt. But I think I'll take Unauthorized Exit here for a nice little bounce spell. Solid blue card. Pick 6. Well, a Killer Among Us and Shock are by far the best cards out of this pack. I think Killer Among Us is a little better than Shock. This card's just nuts. It gets you a really wide board, one of which is huge. So we're going to have to go off color there, and we'll take the Killer Among Us. Pretty weak pack again. Vigilante's a fine top-end card for white, and Panther's decent for multicolored green. We'll take the Panther here, seeing how late the Killer Among Us went. It seems like a solid color to get into. Pick 8, Torch the Witness. This pack must have been absolutely loaded. Good grief. Yeah, this is an incredible removal spell. You get to kill a creature and get a clue token to draw a card. Sick 2-for-1 removal. Really splashable too, just a single red mana. Pick 9 if we're going to be splashing about. Scene of the Crime can help. Really hate that it's an artifact land, so it dies to the gorilla thing. That the one time I got stone rained by the 3-mana 2-2 gorilla has just scarred me for life. Pick 10, there's that Automaton. I was considering pick 2ing this thing, so I'm happy to still have it here. Flexible little 2-drop that ends up in our deck no matter what, which is pretty important to have when we're bouncing between 4 different colors right now, and we're not sure where we're going to land. Pick 11. Mostly bad, but Public Thoroughfare can be fine if we do try to play like all the colors. Interrogator's best card in this pack by far. It was already probably the best card, it's just nobody wants to hop into black that often. So, I mean, black is open. Seeing this Interrogator that late. You can basically disregard the poison thing. It's just being a nice chunky creature that draws you another card means it's really good as the last card on your curve. 5/6 plus draw a card to dig farther. Really, really good in like a top deck war kind of scenario. Grab a Whip Cracker. Maybe we'll end up in green-black. Pretty dang late for the card, but I guess that's just because of how open blue-black is. Alright, pack 2, pick 1. We have 2 incredibly powerful cards competing. So a 3-mana 4/4 is already insane. This is a 3-mana 4/4 that makes another creature in your hand also get +4/+4. You do make it 2 more to cast, but if you have disguise creatures, you can give one of your disguise creatures +4/+4 and just flip it up. And it'll still cost the same if you just flip it up instead. So this card's pretty nuts, but so is Kaya. So is Kaya for sure. She's going to force us into black-white specifically, or at least be splashing into those colors. You know, I think that late Killer Among Us, I'm perfectly happy to take the Green Walker, start diving deep into green as a color. Pack 2, pick 2. Well, there's nothing much in green here. There's Case of the Locked Hothouse, which is powerful, but it is really slow. You have to wait till you have 7 or more lands, and then you have to wait another turn after that, because you have to wait till it's solved in your end step. But then you could just play your whole library just right off the top, and you kind of just win if you can get it solved, but it takes a really long time to do that. Best cards in this pack by far are Novice Inspector and Galvanize. We did see the Torch the Witness super late, so maybe Galvanize over Inspector, but I am also 2 cards deep into white instead of just 1 into red. I'm going to take Novice Inspector. I think that card is really good. Pack 2, pick 3. Go the full Bant here when we get past an Alquist Proft. A 3-mana 3/3 Vigilance that investigates when it hits the board for 2-for-1 value is already insane, and obviously that activated ability is completely busted. Yeah, I don't think we can pass Alquist. Pack 2, pick 4. Well, blue and green are looking like great spots to be, so we're like blue-green splash white for Alquist. This only requires 1 white, right? Yeah, it doesn't require double white. I think we take Steam Core Scholar over Flourishing Bloomkin, but they are both quite good. I'll go for the card selection off the Steam Core Scholar. Pick 5 Novice Investigator. Well, this is the direction to be passed. Can we get passed from this direction, pack 3 as well? I'd love it. Watchdog's good too, but we're not that aggressive to have a super wide board unless we play specifically like Killer Among Us. So we won't be getting like the +1/+1 buffs. Let's grab another Inspector. Well, we're specifically going to be playing Killer Among Us. Oh my god. Like, I'm a little tempted with these Novice Inspectors to start pushing to pure blue-white detectives, but I can't really deny pick 6 Killer Among Us. Maybe I should. We have to cut a chunk of cards. We still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Maybe it is Projector Inspector. Still keeping that path open with Killer Among Us, though. Meticulous Archive is going to be really helpful if we stay 3 color. And I don't think Analyst or Mistway Spy are very exciting, even when you are detectives. They're pretty filler. Alright, Cold Case Cracker by far the pick there. Pick 9, out cold by far. Maybe they went this way if we're really dedicated to our green. Strider can help fix us. I think at this point we're definitely not black and probably not red. The green is still a little question mark. I think we're much closer to just blue-white at this point. And we've got enough cards, we need 9 playables out of the last pack to go pure blue-white. Not being able to run the green crawler and double Killer Among Us is kind of a huge bummer if we do end up pure blue-white. Although we didn't really get any disguise cards to go with the Green Walker, which is awkward. because that's what makes it actually really good. It's still quite powerful, but with disguise cards, it's completely broken. Hello? What are you doing here? We just saw you. What are you doing back here? Get out of here. I guess we're taking her. There's no just good blue-white detective card here, really. I guess Consultant is okay, and Arrival's decent. But that's it. That's all we opened up. Yeah, I do have the 2 random fixing lands, so I guess now we know what we're splashing. It's a Kaya. Or blue-white detective splash Kaya if we don't want to play green. Crime Stopper Sprite's okay. Escape Tunnel's probably better, because now that there's also a Kaya, I think we're basically 100% splashing. It's just whether we're going to be going black or green. And Escape Tunnel's helpful either way. Alright. We actually don't have any detective production for Scrutiny the Guild pack. Usually this card's really good for this archetype, because you play your other cards that make 2/2 detectives, but I don't have any other cards that make them. So Exit Specialist might just be better. Scrutiny is the newer, cooler card, though, so I'll play with that. And also Shadowy Backstreet, absolutely an option when we're probably splashing black. But I'll take the Scrutiny. Pick 4. Pretty filler cards for blue-white. There's a really good splash, though, with Repulsive Mutation. I guess I'm so not used to splashing green. Green is almost always the core color because it helps you splash the other ones, but Greenwalker Double Killer Among Us, that's a splash. 3 green cards. I guess 4 with mutation here. We've got the 3 lands to help. This is so weird, but I think we're splashing green rather than green as a core splashing something else. Although there's another piece of green fixing, so if we take this, we have Investigation and Panther out of the green to splash the other way around. And if we take something on color for blue or white, it's literally just like Rocket Elf, which is just pretty poopy, pretty filler. This pack is also empty, so we're just spending every pick now on fixing. Interesting. I really don't know how I feel about this deck. I feel like this is probably our worst deck we've ended up in. Our alchemy drafts here. But that's okay. We've gone 3-3, and then it's just been like 2 5-3s and 2 7-2s. So we're pretty high up in gems. It's about time for an 0-3. That'd be fine. I want this Projector Inspector so bad, but do see quite an argument for Topiary Panther or Thoroughfare. I'm going to take the Inspector, though. Pick 9 Gear Drake? Maybe we could have just grabbed a Gear Drake and held on for dear life. Maverick's fine. Creeper's fine. Collector's fine. And I have the evidence? Okay. Well, green's a core color then. For double Panther Woodland Investigation. I guess Bite Down on Crime as well. Pretty low on removal. So, thinking we cut down on blue. Although Alquist does want the double blue, which is awkward. I think the rest of our blue has some of our most cuttable cards. If we're a splashy 3-color deck, Reasonable Doubts are way worse. And then No More Lies, pretty bad too. Yeah, it's quite hard to hold up these cheap little counters. If blues are least represented color, I guess blue and white are going to be pretty even. It's going to be another really even deck, just like our Naya deck, isn't it? Yeah, kind of. Wow, we still have more blue than white at this point, even cutting all that. Strange. Let's see what this curve looks like, creature to non-creature. I guess this really is not the world's strongest neighborhood guardian deck. It's far from it. We're already lower on white than blue anyway. We can cut down on white and just splash in Alquist double Inspector, because if I hit an Inspector late, that's still decent value. I could also make it just a splash. Like, absolutely just a splash of 2 cards. We are getting rid of 2 of our best cards in doing that, if I drop the Novice Inspectors. But the Novice Inspectors are much weaker when they aren't getting played early. They're still good, but maybe 2 on-color Reasonable Doubts are better. 2 more pieces of early interaction. Hold this up and just insta-counter whatever our opponent's doing. This looks pretty fine. And actually, the double Reasonable Doubt with double Topiary Panther play a lot better, because it's 2 instants that cost 2 mana that we will be using if we don't counter something. Novice Inspector's so good, though I would just rather play it than a Maverick, even if it's going to take a long time to cast it. And you know, with these, Reasonable Doubt kind of things to do with 2 mana, I think I'm gonna play both the Inspectors over these other cheap Dirtle creatures. So 10-10-4. Alright, white's the splash, the other 2 colors are equal. But green gives us 2 Topiary Panthers and Woodland Investigation, so green's way more important since it can grab our other colors. And right now we're on an even split of green and blue, which I do not think is correct. I think we should be a little higher on green. Not a lot, but a little. So I think we ditch 1 island for 1 more forest. But double plains, thoroughfare, double scene of the crime, probably enough for just 4 white cards. Sure, I'm not going to ever play a turn 1 Novice Inspector, probably, but it's fine. The scene of the crime aren't incredible in here, because we have to have a creature on board for them to fix for us. I might actually cut these, because they hit the board tapped, and then they also only give us colorless if we don't have a creature on board, and we don't have a lot of cheap creatures we're curving out with. Once I have my splash color and I have my white, I have 3. 2 Novice Inspectors, 1 Gravestone. But other than that, we don't get any mana out of Scene of the Crime until turn 3 onward. Any colored mana, that is. Yeah, I'm actually going to ditch these things in this deck for another blue. Another green, probably. Yeah, another green. I could go 6-7-2. Probably not horrific. I still feel like Investigation, Double Panther. It's a pretty big deal. This is 8-6, not 8-5, thanks to Meticulous Archive. Yeah, well, we'll lock the mana base in there and call it a deck here. All right, here's a look at our final deck list for today. We're on a green-blue deck, splashing a bit of white for some value plays. So we've got some pretty great fixing with double Topiary Panther, Woodland Investigation, Gravestone Strider, Escape Tunnel, Public Thoroughfare, and Meticulous Archive. And with all that fixing, we're making sure that we can get to our white splash for solid removal like Makeshift Binding, great value with double Novice Inspector, and the incredible Alquist Proft Master Sleuth. Always a good deal, a 3-3 that investigates, but if he gets to stick around, gonna completely win you the game with a huge draw X and gain X off of any clues you want to sack. So really good stuff from Alquist. Outside of that, we're just setting up our mana in the early game, curving out with some average creatures that can set up your draws, like Projector Inspector, Sample Collector, Vengeful Creeper for early stuff to play, Cold Case Crackers to draw another card. We've got some more power in there. Steam Core Scholar's a great one for setting up your draws and also giving you a flying vigilant threat. And Guild Pact Green Walker can just give you a ton of power and toughness for a super cheap mana cost. A 3 mana 4/4 that makes another one of your creatures get +4/+4 if you spend another 2 mana when you cast that creature. So We play this and incorporate it onto a Cold Case Cracker. Now we have a 6-mana 7/7 flyer in our hand. And if we're really lucky, we can incorporate this onto a face down, which we only have one of. And then this would be 6 mana to flip up still, but it would flip up as a 9/9. So Greenwalker can make some really insane threats. At 5 mana, we've got the uncommon bomb of the format, the Killer Among Us, which is awesome. And then we've also got a repulsive mutation for another finisher. Counter your opponent's best final play, and then kill them with your gigantic creature now. So, really sweet deck overall. Definitely a bit slow. It can get absolutely overrun by anything super aggressive. I think that's the biggest flaw, the biggest weakness of this deck, so hopefully that doesn't get exploited too badly. But we'll see how it all plays out for us as we head into the gameplay. This is the classic for our 3-color decks, the triple mono-colored openers. That is the most important color, and we have Gravestone Strider more importantly, so that I can turn 3, play the Inspector, and crack the clue looking for another color. Ooh, now I can play a Steam Core Scholar turn 3 instead, ditch a Bite Down on Crime or a Cold Case Cracker, so I only have to discard 1 card. Playing against green-white, there's the Neighborhood Guardian turn 2. That's aggressive and terrifying. Now I have a Topiary Panther. I could do that and play Novice Inspector naturally, but because I have Strider on board, I think I should just utilize it. Play the Scholar here. Oh. Got a lot of creatures here, even if I ditch the Flyer, so I'm going to ditch that. Only 1 removal spell still. With Projector Inspector, we can fill the grave, so we can cast that for 2 mana. Might be important here. They start with turn 2 Neighborhood Guardian. They look pretty aggressive. Yikes. Yeah, there's that Guild Pact Greenwalker. 3 mana 4/4, and another one of their creatures gets +4/+4. If they have the Disguise synergy, that's going to be completely devastating. Even if they don't, their next threat is going to be insanely large. So I don't have the mana to Bite Down on Crime. We didn't hit our 4th land, so we need to fill our grave a bit with like Projector Inspector to use it, or we could actually just use the Panther to immediately have the mana to do it here on Greenwalker. Honestly, I don't know if I'm going to have anything big enough to Bite Down. They're like 8/8 or 10/10 they might have that they've incorporated +4/+4 onto, so I think it's reasonable to just cash this in right now on the current 4/4 to slow them down a little bit and buy some time. I could have used this on Gravestone Strider to get more damage in. Hit for 1 more, put them down to 15. By attacking with 3 on the ground, 2 in the sky, but then I don't have the 1/3 to block the 2/2. Oh boy. Yeah, it's a 6/6 Market Watch Phantom, which it's going to take me a while before I had enough power for Bite Down on Crime anyway. So that's bad. Let's Projector Inspector and do some digging. If I Projector Inspector first, I get to trigger it again with Novice Inspector. Okay, there's my own Greenwalker. That's certainly a plan. Now I'm trying to make it to 6 mana to flip up Creeper, probably. Have a 9/9. So I kind of want to ditch Sample Collector over Greenwalker, or over the Forest, not the Greenwalker. Obviously, we're not ditching the Greenwalker. But then I'll play the Novice Inspector. Draw, discard again, probably discard whatever we draw into. Actually, no. Escape Tunnel's perfect. We will discard the Forest then. Play this. Cool. Boop. Now we can play Greenwalker and crack the clue next turn. Or if I top deck a land, I could play Greenwalker and the face down Creeper in the same turn. The way that this card works is really weird. I don't feel like this is how it should work, but the way that Arena does it is they'll know that I incorporated onto my face down, which is kind of awkward. Like, it has the purple text and everything, and it says it's incorporated with +4/+4. For when I do flip it up, I feel like you shouldn't be able to know any information about face downs, including perpetual buffs, but you do, because Arena's weird. And it's weird because, like, there's no... Like, usually you know if Arena's working wrong because you know how it's supposed to work in paper magic rules, but there's no paper magic equivalent to Perpetual, so... Maybe you get to know about Morph and Disguise's Perpetual buffs, even if they're face down. That is how it works on Arena. So I guess that's the only place it matters. You do get to do that. Well, Watchdog's scary. And it makes it so I can't flip up the green... can't flip up the Creeper at instant speed, which is annoying. I'm going to try to get lucky here. And I'm going to crack this clue and hope for the land. I think. Still won't mean I get to play this face down right now, but... my blocks are significantly worse than my attacks. I'll send in the Inspector here. Whoa, trade for the Watchdog? Not even the Guardian? That's crazy. Greed time. I guess this isn't that greedy, because, like, even if I do get land 6, I still have to wait 2 turns to flip this. I still have to play it and then wait another turn to have all my mana untapped to flip it. Which means I can just land cycle this next turn for the Creeper. I'll buy a little time at this point. Six damage is quite a lot. Spotlight Falcon is broken. Won a lot of games with that card. Could play a face-up Panther. What's really busted about this thing is if I attack with Greenwalker, they can trade with it on blocks. And that's 4 evidence in their graveyards. They just need to play a 1 or 2 mana instant or sorcery, and then the next one collects evidence and puts another in their hand. Super nasty. So I don't think I can attack into that with Greenwalker, because it's just setting up the next one to be even better. Still hate that Arena tells them, look, perpetual power toughness. And I know that because I was on the other side of a Greenwalker in my last draft, and it was purple, and it told me about the perpetual bonus on their face down card. I was like, I don't feel like I should be privy to that information, but thanks, Arena. So yeah, they're privy to that information as well. Marco Watch Phantom, you got it. Play Spotlight Falcon. Do it. Do it. I'm just gonna die to these massive flyers. Yeah, that's a boatload of damage. That is a chumpable amount of damage. Puts me to 3 life if I don't block. Yeah. I don't really want to suspect anybody because I want to be able to block. Guess all I can really do is block in the sky anyway. I guess I'll suspect this because it's just going to jam in anyway. 4/4 on the ground's enough to... Well... You know, I think I accept Phantom to my face. Because it's probably flying anyway. Ooh, baby, that's good. Suspecting this makes them consider the double block because they know it has +4/+4, so it might be nearing lethal. It still feels better to flip this up and kill the Falcon than it does to out cold right now. And then we out cold next turn for the kill, probably. If we're not dead. Oh shoot, they do have double Phantom. Yeah, if they have a 2-power creature, we're dead on board. Shoot, yeah, I needed to hold up out cold. I blanked on the fact that their second 2-drop they played was another Phantom specifically, so they'll both have flying. No! Alright, well, reading the card does explain the card. I should probably do a little more of that. We are 0-1 heading into game 2. Here we are for game 2, perfect mana, but we are on a very slow hand against... well, I was going to say against somebody who's on the play, but we're just on a slow hand and on the draw. Well, playing against a slow deck, they don't have anything yet. Ooh, okay, well, with the way our mana curve is, we can definitely Thoroughfare on a later turn. Just hold up our spells early. Counter the Disguise card, which is an Essence of Antiquity. You know, I could even just Projector Inspector away a Thoroughfare. How solid our mana looks right now. Yeah, with a Woodland Investigation too. Let's just get that out of here. Steam Core Scholar is literally a draw 3, discard 3. I guess I can discard Woodland Investigation actually, so it's a draw 3, discard 2. Let's do it. Could have Surveilled first, but I might want to cast Woodland Investigation. I don't know, probably not. Find a Panther. Ditch your land. Draw 2. Yeah, we'll ditch Investigation off those draws. There's been some really good card selection to start us off. Find a Bite Down on Crime now. Decently full grave for the Sample Collector, too. Is it Detective? It is. I could pre-combat that if I'm scared of Inspector dying here. Ooh, Killer Among Us? That is actually stronger than Panther, honestly. So I'll ditch the land that we need for Panther to just play Killer Among Us next turn. Okay, I don't know what was going on in their deck, but they hit 4 colors, but still couldn't cast anything, so I guess we'll take it. We are 1-1, heading into game 3. Some combination of rough draws for our opponent. Again, I don't know what kind of draws. Maybe it was all lands. Or all blue spells or something. We will never know. Alright, here we are for game 3 on the play. Another nice slow Thoroughfare hand. Get that Plains out of there. Oof. God, do I want to curve out with this hand? I'm going to go for it. We don't even need the Gravestone Strider, though, so I'm just going to counter their 2-drop if they have one. Since we saw a Mountain, if they're Boros, countering the 2-drop seems quite valuable. Blue-red, I would rather Alquist not get galvanized, so we'll put the Projector Inspector bait out there on the board. Doubled blue for the Alquist, not double white. This amount of mana plus a Gravestone Strider, ditch the Forest, because I do need another blue for Alquist. Forensic Researcher. Alright, Inspector attacks well into that. There's a 4-drop. We'll just keep it coming. Another Reasonable Doubts. Ditch the Strider. I can play Thoroughfare and play a 3-drop next turn for all my mana. If I hit an untapped land, I'll do that instead, though. I guess specifically Island. Oh, dear. This card's busted. We won a lot of games with this in our blue-red deck. They get an Ornithopter every turn, and their Ornithopters are 2/2 flyers instead of 0/2 flyers. So it just creates a tremendously filthy board state very quickly. And the Polarizer's a really good blocker for Inspector, so can't really afford to send that in on the ground. I guess I could Repulsive Mutation because we know they're going to cast an Ornithopter next turn. Counter unless they pay 5 is what I can afford to do. Kind of funny. Not worth it. I can still attack into 1 Ornithopter. I hold up Reasonable Doubt. I think so. They've already got their game ender resolved. I guess since we hit an island, if I had done this first before I played my land, I could have played Island, Hold Up Reasonable Doubt instead of Thoroughfare. We should have sequenced that differently. Face down card. I guess the plus side is I get to play an untapped land this turn and have Repulsive Mutation for 4 up. Make a Cold Case Cracker a 7/7, which kills them in 2 hits. Although it's got to break through an endless swarm of Ornithopters to get there. Suspect the face down? I thought they were suspecting the Ornithopter. I was like, what is going on? The Ornithopter is suspected of the crime? I never would have thought. Alright, well, we've got an incredible turn here. Because we get to pass holding up Mutation if they try to cast anything big, and if they don't, we can just use Alquist in the end step to draw 3 cards and gain 3 life. So we're locked and loaded for whatever they want to do. 2 mana play. Flip up the face down. It's an exit specialist. Bounce the Alquist. I'd have to use it right now and be fully tapped out. Yeah, I'd rather not. The recast is not bad at all for me. I get another clue. I'm going to let them resolve the Ornithopter because if I put counters onto the Cold Case Cracker, it's still going to be big enough to attack into 2. Whoa, send in. All right. Schmoves from our opponent. Lamplight Phoenix. I have 2 mana up after this, which could be for their own Reasonable Doubt. If they Reasonable Doubt our Repulsive Mutation, that's going to be a massive bummer. I don't think that, like, Reasonable Doubting to tap them out and then casting Repulsive is that good, or casting Repulsive and holding up the 2. I don't think either of those are very good. I think we have to hope they don't have the counter. I'm just going to go for it. Nice. They might have the bounce, though. Still bad. I guess I could tap with Forensic Researcher one time. Nope, it's a Bubble Smuggler. Ooh. Ooh, out cold is very big here. All right, so we go to combat. They can tap the Cold Case Cracker once. That's it. Again, they do have the Endless Ornithopter chumps, so I have to, like, bite down on crime, and then in response to the bite down on crime, they can tap Cold Case Cracker. I guess let's full control this. Let's move to combat and see if they tap Cold Case Cracker or not. Okay, they're gonna just do it immediately. All right. If they didn't tap it, I was gonna declare the attack, then instant speed out cold the double Ornithopter here. If they do that, then I think I bite down. I bite down the Researcher instead. Well, it doesn't have any evidence anymore. No, we're still on out cold, which means I have 2 mana to play with. So I'm just on Reasonable Doubt out cold or Crack a Clue out cold. That's what I have. Could bite down the Thopterist too. That was actually probably the perfect play for the 2 mana. I don't get to hold up Reasonable Doubt anymore. But yeah, Concealed Weapon really doesn't matter. I can't counter it with Reasonable Doubt anyway. Yeah, no, we should have bit down the Thopterist. I can still bite it down this turn. But now I have to take extra damage for having played the way I did. Maybe just die for the play. Okay. Bite down the Thopterist. All the Ornithopters are 0/2 chumpers. Slowly work our way through them with the Cold Case Cracker. And we out-cold their attackers at this point. That feels like what we do, which means I crack the clue and I exile some evidence from their grave to slow down the Researcher. Yeah, this could have been played out much better, but I think we still have a really nice plan here. That should work fine. Menace and can't be blocked. Creatures power 3 or greater. So if I Inspector plus Alquist, I still can't block that. They can put a weapon on it. It's real bad. I think I have to out cold. Really would have loved to hit a land there to go Inspector plus out cold instead of this Killer Among Us. Just too much mana to play around with here. On an Ornithopter. Okay. Take 2 or 3 damage here. Two damage it is. Nope, 3 damage it is. I was gonna say they can use the Researcher to speed up the untap. But they can just do that next turn, right? They're gonna be no longer stunned, and then they can just untap one with Researcher, which is bad. Killer Among Us is a lot of blockers on the ground, so now we Killer Among Us plus Novice Inspector. Have a million blockers on the ground to not die. The killer is the Gobbo. Alright, so Researcher can untap Specialist, but I can double block with 2/1/1s and kill it. Polarizer picks up Electrolyze, which can shoot me in the face for 2 and draw them a card. Case of the Filched Falcon with exactly enough artifacts to solve it. So they've got a 4/4 flyer now. That's insanely bad for me. At essentially 3 life if the Polarizer dies, which I kind of have to kill the Polarizer. We have to just give them the 4/4 flyer here. Oh, this is really smart. Yeah, they get us with this. Great line from our opponent. That's dead no matter what, because we have to kill Polarizer and they get the 2 damage to face. Yeah, you got me. Alright, 1 and 2, heading into game 4. Definitely a winnable game if we had played that early game better. Killed that Thopterus a turn sooner, taking like 6 less damage or something. Here we are for game 4. Oh, Lord. Your starts the curve on turn 1. You never want to see that. Especially on a slower deck like ours. One drop, 2 drop. Alright, turn 3 they play a tap land. But they can crack the clue as well for perfect efficiency there. Buried in the Garden on Sample Collector plus get Mana Ramp. Very good card. They have used every single point of mana they've had every single turn so far. I think we only played off curve turn 2. Oh boy. There's Tolsimir. Ew. Parallax card style legendary crown on a token looks just weird. Maybe that's just legendary, the legendary crown on a token in general, but that... I don't like that. There's something wrong with Voha. I don't know what's going on with him. Let's see if I hit a reasonable doubt, I guess. Or an unauthorized exit. That is neither of those, so... I guess I should have attacked just so they can't make me block Voha with the Cold Case Cracker. Like, I'm not out racing at all. I hit for 3 and then they gain 3. So I'm just dying if I attack, but I might be dying even worse if I don't because they can force Cold Case Cracker to block Voha. I can triple block, but I am representing a counter spell, I guess. I was going to say I can triple block, but then a combat trick from our opponent blows us out. But I am representing a... Alright. 1-3 it is, then. I think we just punted away our second loss. And that's where we could have turned the record around, maybe. But this game looks unwinnable regardless of what we do. And... my short-term memory is terrible, so I don't remember how we lost the first game. But this is insanely over. Our deck doesn't have anything that flips a game around like this. We don't have a board wipe or like a 2-for-1 bomb like Tolsimir or anything. Just play a bunch of 1/1s on blocks. Play a single 5/5, I guess that's pretty decent to trade into the wolf. But they can know that the rest of their board gets in freely. Because they can force the creeper to block the wolf, or force the inspector to block the wolf, then I have to double block the wolf to kill it and take 6, 7, 8, go to 3. Yeah, this feels better than just playing 3/1/1s. Not astronomically so, it's still not good, but it is the best we have. Oh, well, that's the best they could have done for me, because now I actually do get to block an extra point of damage with this Novice Inspector. Okay. I can't play Topiary Panther or I am dead on board. I take 5. If I play Killer Among Us, I'm not quite dead. Certainly not alive, really, but I'm not dead either. We're in limbo over here. Dead to a slight breeze. What's kind of cool is because I have a second Killer Among Us, I can trade this human off willy-nilly and just use this on the second human that I make. Okay, so I am forced into horrifically bad blocks, right? I have to chump no matter how I do this. So like that, basically. That looks like the best I can do here. Yeah, and then the whole Killer Among Us trick doesn't really matter because I'm just going to have to triple trump next turn too. Crack this clue land. I got 7 mana. I'll still play 1 Panther and die, or play the 1 Killer Among Us to live. Land off the top. Unauthorized exit off the top. That's pretty big, right? Can bounce my own Killer Among Us, or I can bounce one of their attackers so that I can get a profitable block somewhere. Okay, that's a flyer. That's super bad. And it's a detective, so they get to dig. Actually, I don't get to do anything profitable with unauthorized exit. I'm forced into double block Inspector, bounce a card. Yeah, double block Inspector, chump, bounce a card is what I have. The only way I live, unless I triple chump, then I don't have to unauthorized exit here, but this feels better than anything else I can do. Is this a detective? That is. Sentry is not a detective. I should bounce the non-detective since I have to chump somebody anyway. Well, I guess I'm killing Projector Inspector, so it doesn't matter. Oh, shoot, I could bounce those. Oh, no, that might have been enough. Now I get 1/4/4. Well, no, I could have only gotten a 3/3. Would have gotten a 3/3 at instant speed. Instead of bouncing this, I would have eaten it without losing a creature. That would have been significantly better, but I don't think it would have been enough still. Just like I don't think a single 4/4 is enough. They're going to have 4 creatures on board. Totally forgot about those things because they're like tucked away under the mana base, so they're so easy to lose, but like Makeshift Binding, you can see them up there. That's frustrating. Alright, it wouldn't have mattered, because then they just recast it post-combat anyway and get rid of my 3/3. And then I die. Yeah, I literally would have died either way on this next attack. Okay, unwinnable final game, but definitely some misplays throughout the draft overall, and certainly round 2, or whenever our second loss was a super winnable game. But that's fine. Our record in these Alchemy's drafts is still intensely positive, immensely positive. It's a very high win rate no matter what from all the 5 3s and 7 wins we got earlier. So I'll take it. We got to get the bad plays and the bad luck all chunked together in one. I don't like this deck, really, honestly, at all. I don't like it too much. I said that during the draft near the end. I was like, I think this is the weakest deck we managed to draft in these Alchemy drafts, period. And I stand by that. We've kind of got the awkward 3-color splashy mana base thing going on without a ton of power to go with it. If we're on the play and we can get aggressive, like the double Killer Among Us can be good, but when we fall behind, we really fall behind with this kind of deck. And that just happened quite a bit. There were a lot of opportunities to play better and maybe turn this closer to a 2-3 or 3-3 run. But I think even if we played out perfectly, this deck was just kind of a weak one from just bouncing around colors a lot in the draft pod, not really finding our footing particularly early. So that'll be 100 gems and 1 pack of Murders at Karlov Manor for today's prizes. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching this video. If you enjoyed the video and are interested in seeing more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel at the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. Other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.